everyone else's
Totally.
like strategy or, you know,
yeah,
putting themselves out there.
No, it's such a good point. And it's so on point, because what you're saying is a really human response that a lot of people have. And even like with this podcast, the number of negative comments I get, there's one I woke up to this morning. It was "sucks to be you." And I wanted to call out that person's name. I forgot what his name though, because he's not insignificant. But it really does show like people will just tear down whatever it and it's like, what does that person probably do with their life?
They're in their basement watching your videos. Like, what does that say about them?
Yeah, exactly. But it's such the human thing to do, to attack, because you're not the one doing it.
And that makes us feel more powerful to put them down instead of rising up to our potential.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not a Swiftie by any means, but Taylor Swift like posted a video that I think gained a lot of traction when her new album, Life of a Showgirl, is that what it's called? Something Showgirl. It came out, right? And it was a big deal and everyone had so many opinions. And she posted something that, this isn't like a new concept, but she was just like, those of you who praised it, those of you who hated on it, thank you to all of you.
Yeah.
Because art is out there to get people talking and there's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
It's so true. And the most famous people probably have the most targets on their back.
Definitely. Well, yeah, that's like, I was just telling you how my dad is getting haters now. And I'm like, oh shit, he might be on the verge of like actually blowing up, you know? Because I feel like anytime I've started something, it always starts with the negative comments first. That's like the first thing. Like my TikTok was deleted, so I'm building a new account.
Okay.
And I started getting a lot of negative comments at first. And the next thing you know, video hits 200,000 views. And I'm like, there it is, you know? And now a bunch of positive, and that always annoys the shit out of me when everyone praises you after. And it's like only because you quote unquote made it. But it always starts with negativity, which is really sad. But I'm glad you brought it up, because I was thinking about that this morning too, of how we had that conversation. And I'm so proud of you because you're back on the podcast. Oh,
yeah, I was going to say you guys don't have
welcome back.
I just started talking without
it. Yeah. Go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Okay. Good to be back. My name is Mari, or Mari Safari, and this is my bestie, and she's having me on again. Apparently I didn't act too crazy last time, so we're giving it another go.
We're giving it another go. We have someone to monitor us behind the scenes so we don't say anything too crazy, because we are best friends and we talk a lot and we're naturally unfiltered with each other.
I feel like I forget there's a camera just because I am like too comfortable with you.
That was the last episode when you're like, oh, did I tell you about how I got ghosted? I was like,
listen, we don't need to bring that up again.
I'm sorry. I thought that was so funny.
You were like, Mari, not right now. I'm like, oh, right. We're doing something.
She wants to put that on blast. It's okay. It's a good story.
It only happened one time.
Most people fall in love with her all the time.
I wouldn't go that far, but
okay. But anyway,
reel it in.
This is why we have someone to monitor us.
Yes.
I was so proud of you though, because you made the comment how your first time on, you hadn't even watched it because it was like a lot. Which my first time on a podcast, I felt the same way. I was like, oh, like I just wanted to be like this the whole time. I forced myself to watch it though. And he would ask a question and I'd be like, oh, I have something really good to say to that. And then I would hear myself say it and be like, oh yeah, she gets it. Like, but you know, now like obviously I post so many videos a day, I don't even think about it. But you know, I had to get over that also. And it's a normal thing for every human, even like the really huge creators who do have millions of followers still struggle with it. And on our last episode with Ginger, I told her how I actually struggle a lot before I post on my Instagram with like, how is this going to be received? Am I going to be seen a certain way? Or I know I'm going to be seen a certain way. And she was surprised because, you know, I post a lot and I think I come off very confident.
Yeah.
But like I struggle, as you know, I struggle a lot. And it's just like, at least with posting and putting yourself out there, it's a repetition, and
Mhm.
you learn to just, maybe you'll feel self-conscious for a second, you let it go. For better or for worse. There are some things I posted where I'm like, oh, and I've gotten more careful about like what at least aligns with my brand. But I think that goes for anybody watching too. I think this podcast is becoming more about building women up and just learning to be confident with yourself. And, it goes to show us here filming this podcast, putting our thoughts on blast, which we're used to putting our bodies on blast, but this is new territory. And it was scary for me, as I'm sure, was a little nerve-wracking for you too.
Just using your voice.
So different.
Is so different than using your body.
Yeah.
And we're used to using our bodies.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing too, I was actually on a hike talking about this a couple days ago, but our generation, as I would say younger millennials, we have a really interesting relationship with social media and technology because it was literally born and fully developed into what it is now as we were moving through our teenage years, which is the time that you're going through puberty, you're establishing your identity or trying to figure out your identity. And I think having that ability to be so public and then also seeing so much information that our minds as human beings just aren't
too much,
aren't used to and maybe aren't capable of consuming. Like we were the test dummies and the guinea pigs of all of that. And so it's interesting seeing our age demographics relationship with social media and how personal it is versus maybe someone from an older generation who is more detached. And it's like my mom doesn't even really know how to use Instagram. She just watches like her kids' stories and and that's great. And that's her relationship with it. Or then you have the Gen Z and Gen A who they were born into TikTok. And so I don't think maybe it has necessarily the same weight because that's just what they know.
It's just
kind of like
life.
And it's kind of like with us, like TV already existed, but there's a generation where they were growing and developing in the time that TV was becoming a mainstream thing. And so it's interesting that is social media for us.
Totally.
And that's why I think for me, it's like, when I post, I'm like, okay, this is kind of scary. This is like wrapped up in my identity. And then I'll like think about posting something for like a week before I actually like have the chutzpah to put it out there. And it's so learning how to deal with that and stay grounded and stay confident and just go for it is really important.
Definitely. And I'm really proud of you for coming back on. She's going to be one of our regulars, so she'll be back on regularly.
This is news to me.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Oh my God,
you're surprised.
thank
I thought I
you.
communicated that, but
I should be like accepting an Oscar.
There you go.
Oh my God.
I'm excited though. I'm quite, because too, it's funny because I never know what episodes are going to do well. I'll think in my head like, oh, this episode is for sure going to blow up. And it doesn't. Or I'll think, oh, this episode probably won't do well. And it does. And I can never guess. And it's so fascinating to me to see what resonates with people. And I think what I've learned is actually, I think I'm still learning. This is, we just published our 22nd episode.
Nice.
It's quite exciting. But I think the episodes that seem to do well are the ones where I have a good connection with the other person and the chemistry is good. And then sometimes it's when I bring on somebody totally unexpected. Like we had a jujitsu lady on here.
Like from your studio?
From my studio, yeah.
And you started
my
going again?
I just returned last night. My back is wrecked. I was doing Muay Thai against a guy who was 6'2".
Maybe we start with someone under 6 feet and like work our way up. But that doesn't surprise me that you just be like, first day back, give me your biggest, beefiest man. Like throw me at him.
To be fair, there were only 2 other girls in the class, and both of them had been in the class together before. So I was like, well, they're not going to partner with me now. And we had to switch partners at one point, and I did fight the girl. She was savage. I mean, she was in the advanced class. And because like when I'm fighting the guy, he'll kind of tone it back a
Of
little,
course,
you
he's
know,
probably terrified of like breaking
actually
your
hurting
arm.
me.
Yeah.
But the girl doesn't give a fuck.
No.
So she came after me and I was like, oh, fuck. but I was telling him, because he was like, oh, you know, like, you know, he wanted to be like a little gentle with me. And I was like, or he made a comment where he said, if I was 5'3", I would be terrified of you. And I was like, good.
Aww.
And I was like, once you're actually terrified of me, even though you're 6'2", then I know I've accomplished it. Because he was like, oh yeah, you know, you won't be fighting guys. And I was like, well, maybe, because the whole point that I'm going is because I live on Hollywood Boulevard. And like I have been harassed. Did you see that video I posted about the guy who filmed me and followed me? I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole.
I didn't
now.
tell you this, but I was on a run a week or two ago and I got like mildly assaulted.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
You're okay though?
I'm fine.
Okay, it wasn't anything.
It was stressful. He just came up from behind me and like groped me, but it was like
Oh
I had
my
my headphones in and I was not paying
no.
attention. But what was creepy about it is I was close to my house because I do a 3-mile run to Beverly Hills and then 3-mile run back to Mid City. So it's like, and then I stretch after the first 3 miles. So that's what I was doing. I was in an empty neighborhood. It's also like an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. And so they're all on the weekends. They don't use technology on the weekends. So they're all walking around with their extended families and it feels very safe and wholesome. And I like feel like I wouldn't jog on Hollywood Boulevard because you'd get catcalled. Who knows what would happen.
Tell me about it. I
You'd
walk
see a
along
guy,
every day.
yeah, you'd see someone like throwing up, like, you know, whatever. But my area is safe, but it's like, I looked around, there was no one in the neighborhood. It was just me and this guy. And I was so shocked that I didn't even really I didn't react in any sort of physical way. I just stood there and like stared daggers at him.
Oh.
Because I know, what I know is that when someone does do something like that, you want to stare at them because then they know that you could identify them in a lineup if they did anything else.
Absolutely.
And so we just had I made eye contact.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just either run away or be small or you could react violently. Because I told a friend and she was like, you didn't just kick him in the dick. But I was like, no, he wanted some sort of energetic exchange.
Yes.
And I was like, I am not giving that anything. And so then he continued to make really gross gestures and then basically ended up walking away because I just stood there, didn't move, just stared at him. And then I just ran to the nearest busy street and was crying and running because I was just I don't know, it felt very just
because you were
violent.
assaulted.
And I was in the safe I was in what I thought was a safe place. I was near my home. I wasn't in downtown LA. I wasn't running in Skid Row. And I feel like it reminded me that we do live in LA and you always need to have your wits about you.
Yes.
And it's not good to just assume that nothing bad can ever happen. Sometimes I will say I've been very cavalier. I lived in New York when I was first go-go dancing when I was 21 and I would just walk home at 4 a.m. No care in the world. Just feeling oh, they're not going to come after me. But it's it only takes one time and one situation and being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Exactly.
And
sometimes the right place at the right time and it can still you were in a safe neighborhood, you thought at least. Was it daytime?
It was noon on a Saturday and in a nice neighborhood.
This is what I try to tell people because I have people saying oh, well, you shouldn't dress like that or whatever. And obviously in that video that was posted to me, I was doing a photo shoot. So, but what I posted when I reposted it when I posted about it was that this was just the one that was caught on camera. Majority of the time when I'm harassed, I'm wearing no makeup and I'm in sweats. Usually when I'm dressed up, I'm harassed less because people are more intimidated by me. It's when I'm dressed down that I look like an easier target. There was a time when I was sitting outside of Phil's Coffee in the morning, just on the phone, on my iPad, doing my own thing. And this guy hops through the bushes, charges right up to me. He's like, are you talking about me? And you could tell he was violent. But I did the same thing. I didn't react at all because he was looking for a reaction. He wanted a fight. I just stood up, grabbed my iPad, slid out to the side to go towards the door. And it took all his power away instantly. And he didn't know what to do. So he stole my coffee and walked away.
He's like, I have to get something out of this. I'm so powerful. You're like, ooh, big man. Like, it feels almost like it takes me into this mindset where I'm like, we are just like animals at the watering hole.
Seriously.
And these are predators.
Yeah.
And you can either act like prey
Mm-hmm.
or you can have that energetic boundary.
Yeah.
And that's even like a segue into, I think, what we wanted to talk about today and like dealing with empathy.
Yes.
And I think too, even when I do see like potentially violent people and all that, like I do end up feeling more sad than anything because I am like so sad that this evil exists in the world. And also they didn't get that way from nothing.
Yes.
Like they were probably abused. They grew up in a terrible situation. The government and society treats them like an untouchable and they aren't getting anything they need. And it messes with your mind.
Yeah.
And then they end up preying on other people in order to feel some form of power. And so it's like, I'm running and I'm crying and I'm feeling like relieved that I'm okay. But I'm also like thinking about this whole like cycle of just like, what is this world that we're living in, that this is how it is.
Yeah. It's a lot. Like I and that's why I wanted to bring you on for this episode. We'll play the clips right here.
See their pain even when they hurt you. You know the childhood wound behind the sarcasm. You know the fear behind the distance. You know the self-hate behind the betrayal. And now you're stuck in the quiet war between awareness and boundaries. Too aware to stay angry, but still walking around with that scar. So you just carry it, silently. And sometimes you wish someone would see you with the same level of depth you offer everyone else. But here's the truth. Just because something makes sense doesn't mean it gets to stay in your life. You can forgive someone's humanity and still protect your peace. Being emotionally intelligent doesn't mean being emotionally available to everything.
An empath experiences the emotions of others with unusual intensity, almost as if they were their own. Neuroscience shows this sensitivity is rooted in the mirror neuron system, cells that fire both when we act and when we watch someone else act or express emotion. In empaths, this system is hyperactive, creating amplified resonance. The insula, a brain region tied to emotional awareness, is also more responsive, letting empaths detect even subtle cues, a flicker of sadness, a shift in tone. But this gift is double-edged. It allows deep compassion, yet also brings overwhelm, anxiety, or emotional fatigue. Often this wiring begins in childhood, shaped by environments where reading emotions was necessary for safety. As adults, it grants profound connection, but also challenges with boundaries. That's why grounding practices and mindful social choices are key to transform empathy from a weight into a strength.
So that way you guys know what we're talking about. But that's why I felt like you were so good to bring on for talking about those two reels, because, you know, we're both empaths, you know, and we have both been learning a lot about setting boundaries and stuff. But I think you and I do have a tendency to see people out their worst and see through that and see where they're coming from. Like, hopefully you're okay with me bringing this up.
You can probably bring it up.
But like when you were in your most recent relationship and, you know, things came up about your partner's past that actually resonated with things that I had been through. And I shared with you like, well, I think this is where she's coming from. And this is how you probably should react, because if you react in this is how I feel, you're actually going to trigger them and make them worse.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned myself, and as you know from my recent experience, sometimes I get too empathetic to where I get so invested in my partner's or my boss's or whoever's situation to where I'm like, well, I understand so well. Now I need to fix or help or save. And then before you know it, I'm fighting against a strike that we all need to be on.
Yeah. Well, and it's when someone is behaving in a way that feels wrong. Mm-hmm. I think if you are a sensitive, empathetic person, you can pretty much always trace their behavior back to a root cause.
Yep, always.
And feel bad for them about it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I understand why you are the way you are. But
Mhm.
just because we understand it doesn't mean we need to
allow it
or
enable
allow it to affect us.
Yeah.
Or be in proximity to it. Like,
Yeah.
I think this year has been a huge healing journey for me. And even what we were saying before in terms of work, like putting myself out there and feeling like I can be vulnerable, like the relationship that I was in before now really threw me for a loop. And I really, really identified with that person, sympathized, empathized, understood why they were struggling and why they were messed up in so many ways. But at the end of the day, it was not serving me to be around that anymore. And I had to choose myself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, even though I understand why you are the way you are, I need to remove myself from the situation.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. And I know that
Definitely.
you're going through that as well, but that's what it means to be an adult and to choose yourself. Because everyone has sob stories.
Everyone does. Everyone has a reason for you to pity them or feel bad for them or want to save them, including ourselves. You know, we all have things that have hurt us. And, you know, I think we had somebody on here who knows about my overgiving almost. And he had made the point how, you know, he thought it was a superpower, which he is right. It is. It's also learning how to kind of use that power. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that's where you and I have both been learning, and why our friendship has been so mutually beneficial and really powerful is because we're learning to be those empathetic people, those caring, loving people. But we're also having to learn a lot about loving ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's been hard, you know?
Yeah.
It's been really hard to learn how to set those boundaries and say, I understand where you're coming from, but you have to figure that out. And I have to figure out how to let you figure that out. You know, like I think I had even told you in your situation, like you were like, well, you know, she needs to do this, you know, and she needs to solve this. And I was like, that's something she has to do and come to on her own.
And not for me and not for our relationship or to save it, but to save herself. And then I was like, I need to step back and now save myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is what I've been doing.
Yay, we love that. Yeah.
Ready for my next toxic relationship. Ready to bring it right back down. No.
Maybe a man.
Oh my
God. Like,
honestly, anything could happen. It's like, I will probably surprise myself. It's like that. I think you sent me a meme that once that was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say next. Like it was something like, I'll start talking and it's like, ooh, where's she going to go with this? Like,
that's why I have a monitor. So like,
that's why there's a podcast. That's why this podcast exists.
Oh my God. Yeah, and that goes way back to where I was going to say your episode has done well. It's gotten 800 to 900. I know. I was like, okay.
Everyone's watched it but me because I'm scared too.
I get it. It's always intimidating. But you'll get used to it. now that you're on for episode number 2, I'm going to be coming back more. So, you know, it'll be fun. But yeah, I think that's been like a big learning lesson. And reels like that have been really interesting to me, like putting a word to like how I'm feeling. So as it says in the reel, cognitive dissonance. Never heard that word before in my life, but it makes so much sense because, you know, we had another episode with Vix, who is our other regular who comes back, where I was telling her how, you know, I've gone through abuse and assault. And, you know, the crazy thing is, to this day, I can see where they're coming from. I see how they got to where they were and how in their head they didn't do anything wrong, which is why I stayed in my marriage for as long as I did, you know, which is why it took me as long as I took to run away from home.
Yeah.
You know, granted, what I kind of always come back to and I say very regularly is that it took me learning to love myself for my dad to learn to love himself and to learn how to love me better, which is why he's coming with me to this red carpet, because he learned how to love me and what I needed from him as who I am, not who he wanted me to be. And that's why we have a good relationship now. Whereas, like, you know, that never would have happened if I had just, I mean, there wouldn't even be a red carpet to bring him to, because I'd be in an office.
And you know what all of that means? It means that you healed your generational trauma.
Oh my God, that's huge.
Or you're in the process of healing it.
Oh my gosh, I did not even connect that.
Because something that I've been learning, and I learned a lot in my last relationship, is that we can all be victims of our past and the generations that came before us.
Yeah.
Because epigenetics is real. And people are literally passing their trauma down to you.
Yes.
Historically.
Yeah.
And in the family.
Yeah.
But it's like you can be a victim to that. Or you can decide, like, this ends with me.
Yeah.
And it's amazing now that we can go to therapy. There is so many resources on the internet. People are finally talking about this stuff. And in our parents' generation, it was just like, you have to look like everything's fine. You have to suppress everything. If you're going to therapy, it means that there's something wrong with you and it's taboo. Like, I remember being in elementary school and it's like, oh, she has to leave school early to go to therapy. And like, you know, there's a stigma, but now it's like, people are like, I don't want to be dating you unless you're in therapy. Like, seriously. That's literally, and I mean, I said that to my last partner, like, we do still talk, and who knows? I don't think they're ever going to watch this. So I'm just going to say what I'm going to say.
You never know.
But I did give them a list where I was like, one of my requirements, like, is that we both should be in therapy.
Wow.
And I am. And she actually is now too.
Wow.
And she's regurgitated a little bit of information about her and her therapist and stuff. And at one point she was like, wait, Mari, do I have a good therapist? And I was like, I think you do, because this is like the best conversation that we've had in the 2 years that we've, you know, had a relationship of some kind. This is like the best I've ever felt about what we're talking about.
Wow.
And it was just amazing. All it took was 2 sessions.
Wow.
Like, and I mean, that's just scratching the surface, but I'm like really, really happy for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know that I did push for it. I'm definitely a pusher.
Yeah.
But I think it really is going to make a difference for them.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, I think, and that's the balance you and I are learning, is that you also don't want to be a passive partner where you're just like, okay, well, it's their journey, so you do whatever you need to do. Like, there is a balance of, you have to push them and be like, choose better for yourself, and then kind of step back and be like, all right, it's up to you. You either will or you won't. You know?
It's like, you don't want to be so removed and give them so much space about it that you're enabling the behavior, but you also don't want to be so pushy that you end up being controlling, and then they just end up rebelling against you, which is really them rebelling against themselves because you have their best interests at heart. But it's like, I think whenever we're being pushed by someone to do something, your inner child is just like, no. And then you go and do the thing in the extreme. Like, I remember my mom not wanting me to have dessert would result in me like raiding the cabinets like at 1 a.m. Like, right, just being like, well, I want chocolate, you know, but it's like, but then it's like the kids that don't have that pressure, like, they're just like, oh, whatever, candy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same way with vices when we get older.
Totally.
It's like becomes the forbidden fruit.
Yeah. Well, that's like when I was in high school all the way until I moved out, I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. And I always had a boyfriend that like wanted to marry me, but I wasn't allowed to see him. So I always had this, you can only see them once every 2 months rule. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, those boys really loved me.
You're like mailing letters and giving them to like carrier pigeons.
I had so many letters. Like, I cannot, like, my younger boyfriends all like loved me and would like, they would serenade me on stage at church, bake me cakes, like bring these presents, write like 10-page letters to me.
The good old days.
The good old days. Now I'm like, God, just can you take me to dinner? No, I get asked to dinner a lot. I just had to not go.
I feel like that paints this picture of you being like this Victorian, like, I don't know, Victorian princess, and then you got like your dad being like saying no to the suitors, and they're like lined up
Literally.
with their like offerings to you, and it's like you're just like this pure virginal Christian girl,
That's
like
literally
in the
what it was.
tower.
Yes, with the dragon, which was my dad.
Oh my god!
I remember my high school boyfriend came to talk to my dad once. He must have been like 16. No, he might have been on his way to college, so maybe 18 by then. And so he like came to talk to my dad, and my dad was like, if he shows up here, I'm gonna shoot him. My dad's really extreme.
You're like, come on, let's not.
I was like, oh god.
let's take the theatrics down a notch.
Yeah, people are like, why are you so dramatic? My dad will ask me that, and I'm like, because I'm your daughter. Like, what did you expect?
Mm-hmm.
But this poor kid comes to talk to my dad, and they talk for like an hour, maybe 2 hours. And I just remember when he left, he looked so sad. And I was like, oh, this poor kid. And my dad was all beaming and smiling, and he was like, that went so well. Next thing you know, this kid goes to college, goes to go be a doctor.
Wow.
And I was like, that was definitely my dad's influence.
Hilarious.
I don't know if he became a doctor or not. We broke up, so obviously.
Hey, if he's out there saving lives, you can take partial credit.
I can. I have a feeling, though, that he ended up marrying somebody who was a fairly successful photographer, and I think he became more like a stay-at-home dad, I think, from what I kind of gathered.
The power of social media.
The power of social media. Yeah. Now I can't find anybody from my childhood, which I'm kind of glad. Yeah.
I got into this deep dive the other day where I
Uh-huh.
really wanted to find one of my ex-boyfriends because I was just like, I wonder if he's like okay. And I literally could not find him. Like
They disappear.
all.
Yeah. It's
At
crazy.
all.
Which, like, if anybody looked me up,
No,
which I know they have, like,
on my first date with
Mhm.
my last partner,
Uh-huh.
and I'm bringing
Oh,
this
yeah.
up because we did it together.
Oh no,
did-
we can't talk
Oh,
about that.
never
Yeah.
mind.
I already
Zip.
have to figure out that.
We have to cut that out.
We have to cut that out.
You'll never know.
Yeah. So we're talking about, cognitive dissonance, boundaries, being an empath, taking on like feelings of people's emotions, which, I struggle with that a lot because I feel like I can see anybody's situation and understand how they're feeling and where they're coming from, which sometimes I really hate, and considering like, I don't know if I'll keep this in, but my ex-husband was, in prison for attempted murder of his father, and I still married him. Goes to show I have a little bit too much empathy. I understand a little bit too well where people are coming from sometimes. But that goes on to say we are in a really interesting situation right now where, as a circus performer in entertainment, we tend to get paid last sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes, we don't have a union. Being in live entertainment, there's no union. We have no rights. We have no health insurance we have to pay separately for our health insurance. All of our taxes are a nightmare because we don't get anything deducted out. So we have to pay a lot at the end. We don't really have rights that normal workers do. We have freedom, which is great, but we don't have rights. And so something that happens is that sometimes you work a gig and you'll end up waiting for months to get paid. This happens to us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know when we'll get paid. Sometimes if we don't make sure we keep messaging for our payment, we won't get paid, which is crazy because we are risking our lives. And I don't know if I think it was you that said this maybe, but it's like, is this what my life is worth to you? Like, not getting paid and already getting paid at this lower, high of a rate. Like, is that all we're worth? Because we are risking our lives every time we go up. Like, I mean, probably better than any of us, but sorry, our jobs are dangerous, and there always is a chance that something happens and we could fall. Like, we're professional and that doesn't happen. But
like there could literally be an earthquake. Like anything could happen. But
anything could happen.
You're at a vulnerable
rigging could be
position.
wrong,
Like the
like-
ceiling could crumble. Like you just, yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's crazy. And especially a lot of the times when we perform, there's a lot of drunk people around. That's the one that always gets me, because I've had people try to reach up and grab me while I'm up there, and it's like, if I'm in a precarious position where I'm balancing, all it takes is somebody grabbing my hand and yanking me off, and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not in our control, no matter how much we train.
Yeah.
That's in security's control, and they need to be a little bit better sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're in this interesting position now where we're learning about boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to explain the situation. You explain.
Yeah. We have recently at one of our residencies in Hollywood. Yeah. We have unionized with the other performers. And after a few years of embezzlement happening, we have all decided, or most of us have decided, to go on a strike at the venue. And even if someone is up to date in their payments, because so many of us are not, we're looking at about 25 people and $20,000. We have collectively decided that until that money is, you know, paid where it's due, or until there's some sort of change of leadership, we are going to not provide our services, because we've just been providing them for free. And the venue has been paying the entertainment company that subcontracts us, but that person has not been paying us. And it has gone on for a long time. It's been pretty sneaky because we're all independent contractors.
Yeah.
So we haven't necessarily been communicating with each other about this until now.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was able to go on for so long. And I think it is really easy to prey on independent contractors and performers like that. Because it's not like we're this 9-to-5 job where, okay, you get paid twice a month. Here's your benefits. Here's your W-2 form. Like, it is a little different.
There's no
And
accountability, no record past text messages, which thankfully there's that record, but
yeah. And so I think it's been easy to take advantage, but I think that the power in numbers is a really big thing. And we have a personal relationship with the woman who's been pocketing this money. And Alyssa has known this person for a really long time. And so that's where I think the cognitive dissonance has been an issue, because we've kind of swept under the rug for a while now that this money situation was getting worse and worse. And a big part of that is that we do empathize with this person, but that's where they are really able to use manipulation, and they're really able to make us feel bad for them. And there are people out there that will always play the victim.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
that's where it came to the point where staying silent was just enabling them. And it was not only going to be hurting me, but it was going to be hurting other women in the workplace that I really respect.
Yeah.
And we all deserve to get our fair payments for the effort that we're putting out there. Some of these women are like going down to pasties in front of people. Like, that's a big deal. That's a lot of vulnerability. And then we are going 20 feet in the air. And like you said, like putting our lives at risk, and what? So that we'll just never get money for it. Like, we're just doing it. We're just doing it for fun. And that's also why it's complicated, because as artists, what we do is fun for us.
Yeah.
What we do is something that we're very passionate about.
Yeah.
I would probably be twirling around in the air if there was 500 people watching, if there was 5,000 people, if there was no one watching.
Yeah.
Because it's what I like to do. And it's amazing that I have found the ability to get paid for it in this city.
To make a living.
Yeah. We pay all of our bills with our performing. And that's awesome. But what comes with that is that people can take advantage of that.
Yeah. And we were saying, you know, it was definitely a struggle for us at times too, because we have been lucky, and not lucky, but you know, we've been blessed in that we've had less struggle with getting paid. You know, we've had, you know, the blessing of we've had a priority on us. But part of the reason we've had that priority too is because we've set our boundaries pretty early on. And, you know, we have been very, like I was telling Mari, I've had days where I will message her in the morning and say, if I'm not paid, I will not show up tonight, because I have a very firm boundary of my balance will not go above this. But the way that I learned that is because before quarantine, I was at a show, and it's the show where I met this lady, and that boss was really behind on payments. And when quarantine happened, I was owed $1,000. And the second we went into lockdown, I was like, I'm never going to see that money. Never did, to this day. And, you know, it is crazy because I have a lot of, I do have that cognitive dissonance, that empathy, and that emotional connection to that show and both those people. And I'll probably mention that at some point.
Yeah.
I also want to say, did you guys want to define cognitive dissonance? Or define it and put it?
Yeah. Yeah, if you put that in there, but yeah, actually,
Do you want to just say a line of what it is?
yeah, you can go ahead and say it.
The psychological discomfort a person feels when they hold two or more conflicting beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors.
Wow. I love that, like hearing the straight up
able to
statement. It is so on point with what we're talking about, because I know for me, I want my money, and yeah, I want all my friends to get their money. And also I have this confliction of, well, I see where they're coming from. But you made a good point to me, because in my head, I see where they're coming from, because I know how hard it is to manage things, and how if you let something slip, it'll just kind of, you know, you're trying to pick up the pieces, and if you don't get a hold of it on time, you're fucked, you know, especially with how our whole economy is. Our whole economy is a perfect example of that. We are in
So much debt.
$1 trillion of debt right now, because you let a little bit slip, you just keep letting, before you know it, it just all keeps slipping. And this situation we're in is so on point with where our country is right now. And I think that's where my empathy gets the better of me, because I understand, you know, when I first started making a lot of money, I was spending a lot of money. And I definitely made some mistakes when I was younger, where it was like, you know, I kept having a lot of money come in. So I started using my credit cards. Biggest mistake of my life. I will never have a credit card again. Well, I might have
Really?
one credit card
You
again.
don't have a credit card?
Not right now. No.
Okay.
Yeah. At some point I'll get a
You
credit
should,
card again.
because it'll build your credit back up.
Yeah, for sure. I can't have one right now.
That's fair.
Because I had like 5 credit cards. And because my credit was so good, because I always made my payments, they kept offering me more credit cards.
Of course, because the economy wants you to be in debt. Because if you're in debt, you have to pay your debt back with interest.
Exactly. And so before you know it, so, you know, now I'm making money, and I'm like, it's okay. You know, I make $1,000 a night. So what's the big deal if I'm bored and I go out and buy a $400 dress? What if I do put it on my credit card? I'm making $1,000 in a couple days, whatever, you know. Slippery slope. And that's where I had a shopping addiction, because I was running from my trauma. As we know, our current boss has a lot of trauma, you know, and I will say, as somebody who's known her for a long time, I think she's worked through a lot and she's come a long way. I think she has more work to do. I've seen growth. Granted, I've seen growth from what she's showing me. I don't, because sometimes you tell me stories and I'm like, well, that doesn't line up with what I'm seeing.
Well,
so
and
then I'm
the
like,
growth shouldn't be coming out of our pockets.
exactly. That's
like if this person is paying for healthcare and therapy and allergy tests,
true,
and stuff that you know is not cheap, but it's coming out of the fact that there's 25 women out there who are owed money.
Yeah.
Like that's where, like, I'm sorry, but your progress cannot come at the expense of others.
It can't. Yeah. So
that's where we have to stay strong.
Yeah.
And understand that even though we know why this person struggles, we feel bad for them. You know, they've been through abusive relationships. they were in a car accident. You know, it's like there's all
A
of
lot
these
of-
things stacked against them, but that doesn't make it okay
Yeah.
to do what they've done.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a good point too. And I think that's something that I see really clearly in our relationship and our friendship is that, you know, we both have been through tough times. And what is really great about us is that I think we've learned a lot about boundaries. And I think, you know, because we're the youngest on our team, from watching everyone else above us, we've seen, like, they set boundaries without even thinking about it. They'll just be like, nope, period, and that's it. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
But it's been really good to watch them, even if it's not towards us, just seeing how they interact with other people at our job. It's like, oh, like all of them, I think, are just so solid, and it's so easy for them to say no, whereas like that hasn't been as easy for us. But, you know, watching that has been really helpful. And I think we're a good example of, you know, we help each other a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I know I've told you things that I would never breathe to another person.
Aw.
And, you know, and I'm so thankful to you for that. But I think we've also been good at being able to say, like, okay, now we have to stop talking about that because our job is dangerous and we have to focus, you know, where, you know, I know I've said to you, like, whoa, this is like triggering to me. I can't talk to you about this. And you've been really good at being like, okay, you know, I won't bring that up to you, or at least until you're ready, where you're in a space where you can handle it. And I had an experience recently that I told you about the whole time while I was going through it, where I had hired somebody to work for me who was a former best friend of mine. And back in the day, I had terrible boundaries. I had no boundaries at all. And I let my friends walk all over me, to the point where now, looking back, I'm realizing I don't even know if they were real friends, because it wasn't for my good, you know, like it was all for their own benefit. And so when I hired her, I know she was shocked by how often I said no, and how, without thinking, it was easy for me to say no.
Villain era.
And also realizing how it was so not okay that when I said no and she pushed back at every single turn, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you not respecting my boundaries? And was this what my whole friendship with you was for those 3, 4, 5 years? That's not okay.
Yeah. My favorite thing that I've heard recently about boundaries is that we don't set boundaries to kick people out of our lives. We set them to keep people in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember, too, that your boundaries can change.
Yeah.
If you were a pushover when you were 20, when you're 30, your boundaries will be different.
Yeah.
If they're not different, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we go to therapy. That's why, you know, we start taking care of ourselves better. Like, we learn what is okay and what's not. And if you are an empathetic person, you need to take your boundaries that much more seriously. And so your friend has to understand that you're a different person than you were when you guys first were interacting.
Yeah.
And it is scary as the person setting the boundaries to be like, wow, I said this was okay, and now I'm saying it's not okay. And that's almost cognitive dissonance, I think, within yourself.
True. Yeah.
Because it's like, at one point, I believed it was okay for this person to walk all over me. And now I am strong enough in my own skin that I can tell them what's not okay.
Yeah.
But that's really, really scary.
Yeah, it is.
Especially the closer you are to them.
Definitely.
Like, if they're a partner, a parent, a friend, like, I think, honestly, us practicing boundaries with each other has been a really, really important life lesson for me.
Same.
With practicing boundaries with other people, because I consider you a very safe person in my life.
Same.
But we've both reached points with each other where maybe we aren't able to talk about something with each other at the moment, or maybe we do have to say no. Maybe I can't pick you up and take you to something. And I'm like, oh my God, am I a bad person because I can't pick her up because I know she doesn't have a car? But it's like, no, I have my life, and you're so understanding.
Yeah.
Or like,
and it's not your responsibility. Like, the fact you offer me a ride is so sweet. But I always try to remind my friend, because I never want to be the leech, you know? And it's like,
and you're not at all. Well, no. And it's like, but it's just scary for me to, like, I think when you're used to being a people pleaser or bending over backwards for people, it's like, oh no, Hey.
It took her a second. See, everyone laughs for the title, but see how relevant and on point it is?
I love it. Yeah. Fuck, like, go feminism. I don't know if I can say the F word, but yeah. And then on the flip side, if I'm trying to talk to you about something that's traumatic, but you're like, wow, this triggers some trauma in my life that I'm working through, you can tell me, hey, Mari, I can support you, but I can't listen to this right now.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important for the person who needs to talk about something. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to save this for my therapist.
Yeah.
And that's, you know.
And it helps growth on both sides too. Like, you know, and what I've learned with us is that neither of us is ever like, what? You can't give me a ride? Like, you know, or, oh, you can't talk to me about this, but I listen to all your shit. And like, and I think we both like tend to like feel bad when we say no. But I know, like, for me, if you don't give me a ride, I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. Like, I'm not thinking about it twice, you know? And I know with you, when I've said, hey, whoa, I can't take this on because of where I'm at myself, you've always been like, okay, that's okay. And it's
if
not
anything, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, what do you need?
And I'm like, no, you don't have to feel bad. I'm just telling you. But it also goes into play with one of those videos, how it said, you know, these empathetic responses come from childhood. I'm not fully sure what your childhood was like in this regard, but
I just have crazy ballet trauma.
Okay.
We're not even going to get into that today.
That's fine. I can say, at least for me, my household was very reactive. And so it was always on edge, always trying to make sure, like, I remember, you know, me and my brother would be downstairs watching TV, and if we heard my dad getting up and like his footsteps like coming down, we'd like run, turn off the TV, grab a book. Like, it was like terrifying.
Oh,
yeah.
I understand that. Not exactly from, well, maybe a little bit from parents, but I think sometimes like I feel that way with roommates, as someone who's had roommates since leaving home when I was 18, whether it was like in a dorm or and I've lived with all types of people, from, you know, gay male dancers at the Abbey to like a Russian woman with a child in a different country. Like, I've lived with them all. And it really, I'm realizing now that it has made me learn how to shrink myself as much as possible in my living space.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, I almost feel like I become a recluse so that person can take up space and do their thing. And I will just kind of stay out of the way, like take care of my own stuff.
Yeah.
Like kind of isolate myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like you hear their footsteps and it's like, oh, I feel that in my stomach.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, there's another person here. Like, let me make sure I'm not doing something wrong or, you know, and I think that's also why for me, you know, coming up on 32, I am at the point where I do want to live alone.
Yeah.
I don't know when exactly that can happen because I have such a good situation right now in such a good location.
Yeah.
I have laundry, I have parking,
yeah.
like I have a backyard, and those are things in LA that you really fight for.
Value.
And so I'm not looking to go live in some like nasty dump in K-Town, like where I can't park and it's not safe. And so it's going to take a second, I think, to find my own place, but I've started just letting myself look. And even that feels like taking some power for myself.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just view, it's just accepting and acknowledging that I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Whenever it can happen. And because, having boundaries in your own home with roommates can be really hard. Yeah. And if you are an empathetic person and you're practicing boundaries all day long, and then you're performing and putting yourself out there in front of so many people, you want to come home to a sanctuary, at least at this point in my life, where I'm not trying to handle or manage my reaction to anyone else's energy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go home to me and my cat.
Definitely.
And silence. Mm-hmm. And then just kind of like see what comes out of me in that space.
For sure.
Instead of just shrinking myself down as a protective barrier against other people's emotions or frustrations in the house. And even if it has nothing to do with me, I think being a pretty sensitive person, it's easy to feel like it's about me or feel like, oh, I must be doing something wrong, or how can I act in a way that will make them less stressed, when it's like, that's not my problem, but it becomes your problem when it's in your space. And so that is something that's been a big learning experience for me. And as I've gotten older, I am wanting to take my power and have my own space more and more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's definitely a balance because, you know, to be clear for all the male haters we get out there, it's not about like completely like not budging and being like, this is how it is and I'm not gonna like conform to or compromise at all. But it really is, we're overly compromising people. Like we're overly giving. It's kind of the same as like, you know, a big thing we talked about at the beginning was like, should a man pay? And, you know, a big thing I was saying was, yes, they need to at the beginning, because I know all the friends that I have, at least, maybe not other women, but like I know all my friends are overgivers. I know all my friends end up in situations where we will pay for all the bills, you know, because if we love someone, that's what we do. And in the same way, in this situation, we are overgiving people. We are people who will adjust and conform to satisfy people we love, past what we really ought to be doing, past what makes us feel healthy or good. You know, I think we've seen it with each other where we tend to give so much to where we lose ourselves.
And as a performer, you're essentially a professional chameleon.
Yeah.
But then you owe it to yourself in your everyday real life to not be a chameleon.
To be
like,
real.
you are Alyssa, I am Mari.
Yeah.
This is how I am. I am not going to transform into something else. It's almost like when you're in relationships, do you sometimes feel like you transform into a different version of yourself? Like
I have,
and
for sure. Yeah.
Same. And then it's like, oh, that was that era. Like sometimes I'll look back at my eras and base them on like that person and that role I was playing in that situation. And it's like, you have to reach a point where you're not playing anymore. You're not performing anymore.
Yeah.
Save the performing and the drama for the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And in your own life, be as true to yourself as possible at all times.
Yeah.
Be able to communicate and work things through and compromise, but that's where the boundaries happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's where our friendship has been really helpful in growing, and how I know, like, I think both of our relationships with our romantic partners, which we don't have right now, but we'll go like
single, kind of. We're both like,
we're in weird places in our lives right now.
I think I'm always kind of single. That's like the name of the game.
I feel too. Like I'm somewhat single, but I'm not on the market for majority of the cut a couple of those words out. Anyways, what I think our friendship has like taught me a lot is that you and I aren't without moments of conflict, I suppose, where our boundaries are crossed or whatever. But it never breaks into a fight. It's never like a huge issue. We're not like offending each other or going at each other. It's just like I can't do this right now. And it's okay.
Even the other day, I sent you a voice message where I was like talking about a past thing, and you were like, I'm going to have to stop listening to your message right now. And I was like, I responded and I was like, delete it. Like, I was like, I don't even want, like, let's just let it go.
Yeah. And that's, I think, why we're so open and vulnerable with each other, because we have become that safe space. And that's why too, I think it's great that you're back on the podcast also, is because when I started this, I thought I was doing it. And this is why it's slowed down in growth of followers, because I've had to readjust the algorithm to what I'm putting out. At first, I started it thinking I was making this a podcast for men to see what goes on in women's brains as like these, you know, performing women and stuff, these sexual icons or whatever. But as I continued on, I was like, why am I doing that? You know, they don't even want to hear it.
They don't want to see that. They want to see
it doesn't even matter.
The naked pictures.
Yeah, exactly. And great, there's an audience for that. Okay.
Right.
And I realized this podcast really needs to be for the women who do struggle with these things, the women who, are in abuse. Like, the way I got out of my marriage is because I read the book Eat, Pray, Love. And I remember sitting there in the laundromat with my ex-husband, reading this book and reading the moment she was like crying in her room because she knew she was going to have to leave her partner.
Yeah.
And I just remember it hitting me like a fucking rock and knowing like, I'm going to have to leave my husband one day. And reading her journey was what got me to be able to be like, I need to leave and go on my own journey. And I remember even having mixed feelings about that book at the time because I was still super Christian, and obviously divorce is not okay. And I really struggled with it. I had to go to therapy. But again, like, I was in a situation where violence was becoming imminent and where, it wasn't just towards me, but towards my dog. And that's where, like, you have to know when to walk away. And that's why I have this podcast now, is because sometimes a girl just needs to know it's okay to say no, because assault is so common, because it is so regular. This happens all the time. And because, too, things like, I remember hearing that therapy was a sin because, let's break this down. This will offend people for sure. But the church used to be a part of the government. The church is a great tool to get people to do what you want. If you want people to, as a community, do something, what do you scare them with? When you die, you're going to hell. If you break these rules, you're going to burn in eternity forever. Terrifying. Like, of course, people are going to unionize and be like, we have to do these things. And if you break out of this mold, then you're going to hell. But that's how people who are abusive get controlled. That's why abuse was so common back in the day, because women didn't have a voice. Women didn't know it was okay to say no. Women didn't know you could be like, if you hit me, I'm leaving. It was just what was done. And I think it was a lot more common back then than it is now, because now if you hit a girl, example, Rihanna, that shit is going to blow up and become huge public news. Same thing with somebody at home. You can go on social media and like just post a photo of your face. And like, it's not as easy to get away with anymore. And that's why therapy was a sin, because therapy teaches you boundaries, teaches you how to think for yourself. And it breaks down and breaks away the power of the white man.
Well, it's the individual versus also the, in your case, the power of the individual over the power of the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Because you face cognitive dissonance your entire life,
Mm-hmm.
having all of these almost culty Christian values imposed on you,
Yeah.
versus you in your heart and in your gut knowing what you actually felt
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately believed, and
Yeah.
how that was so different from what you were raised to think.
Yeah.
And you had to find your individual power
Mm-hmm.
over the power of your family's identity.
Yeah.
Like, you are not the same as them.
Yeah.
You're a part of that.
The collective.
Yeah, you're a part of that collective, but you are also Alyssa with
Yeah.
your own feelings, your own beliefs, your own thoughts. And yeah, in the past and even now in our country, it's discouraged to have your own thoughts.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
That's even like, you start to get all of the praise once your video gets a ton of views,
Mm-hmm.
because people are more likely to support you if they see other people supporting you.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
very, very true. Yeah, and that's why it's going to take some time for this podcast to gain any popularity, because it is vastly like different than what is being preached in the entirety of the country.
So like and subscribe, tell your
Like and
friends.
subscribe. Yeah, exactly. We're trying to break the mold. And I want to also just kind of emphasize on this too. Like, because 3 things. I stated the white man. I don't have a problem with white people. I don't have a problem with men. I'm half white. I love men. I love white men. But like, generically, the people in control, at least from what we can see of our country, are white men. And they've rigged the system.
And the system is built for the white man
Exactly.
to succeed.
Exactly. And I just want to slip this point in really quickly without diving too much into it for this episode. somebody sent me this video about OnlyFans and how it is making way more than other companies and how it's a problem. And granted, it was a white man making this video. Yes, he has good points. Yes, OnlyFans fulfills this porn thing, whatever. And as someone who has experience with OnlyFans, there are things I do hate about it. Don't get me wrong. But I will say this. The one thing about OnlyFans is that it is the only company that puts power in the women's hands. That is probably the first company where you have so many women millionaires coming out of it with no boss over them. Mm-hmm. Yes, the guy who designed OnlyFans is a man. And yes, I don't know who owns it now, but probably a man. But still, this is the first company where you have women millionaires coming up left and right. I have friends who are very seriously into OnlyFans who are crushing it. And the interesting thing is, now as women are gaining that power, the rules are starting to flip because now we have this new AI generation coming out, which is, again, I read this last night, which I thought was really interesting. AI and robots aren't the problem. They're not the ones who are going to take over the country. It's whoever is programming them. It's whoever programs them and programs their ethic codes that determines who is in danger and who is safe.
Yeah.
And who is in charge of AI? The white man. So just as women are starting to make this huge stride, and I hate to say that, like, I wish I could say it was because women are becoming really successful doctors and taking over that industry. Unfortunately, as we talked about this, I think in the last episode, sex is power. And that's why so many women get bashed on for being sexual, because it's the one thing we have over men. Because women will never spend thousands of dollars on a naked man, you know? It's just not going to happen. Maybe for a bachelorette party, but not to the level.
I think we can just collectively agree as a species that women are hotter than men. I'm just going to say it. And it's not only because I date women. Like, I think even as a straight as an arrow woman, you can acknowledge that women are more beautiful to look at than men. And that's why we do have that advantage of, I mean, there are also like male porn stars and all of that.
There are, yeah.
But yeah, I like that OnlyFans is kind of like my body, my business.
I mean, it is. Like, my body, my business is what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I messed up my own thought process. But yeah, I mean, that's just it. Like, it is the one company where women are the one who are rising up, and now we have men. Anyways, that's a little sidetracking. My point is that it's a very like generic thing, because I was talking to my mom about this, and she's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm white. And I'm like, you're missing the point. I'm not getting at you because you're white. That's not what this is about. I'm not coming at you because you're a man. I'm saying in a very generic, general sense, the people in charge are white males who have created a system that benefits white males. That makes it a lot harder for women. That makes it a lot harder for minorities. Not impossible, but it is more challenging for us to rise up in those ranks because it is geared towards men. Simple, basic example was what we talked about on another episode, tampons. Women have that extra charge. We have no control as to whether or not we have a period. We have to have a period unless we have an IUD.
Well, you can get into the whole birth control realm, but that's a whole other array of responsibilities and potential problems.
Yeah. And the point is, even with that, you have to pay for it as a woman. It's not covered by the government. Whereas toilet paper is free, you know? Imagine if we didn't have toilet paper. Men would throw a fit. Imagine if we had to pay for, we have to pay for toilet paper, but not in public restrooms, you know? Whereas we have to pay for tampons. You rarely see free tampons. It happens occasionally, but rarely. So that just is one very basic example of how the system is rigged towards men, you know? Anyways, my point being, not attacking white people or men, not attacking Christians either. I actually have had people on here where we talk about the Bible, and there is a lot of things that I still resonate with very heavily with Christianity. But it's another thing that I think has been used to control the masses And if you go into Christianity with, I only do what my pastor tells me, you've missed the point. If you've never read the Bible for yourself and looked at it as a historical document and seen like what is actually written in there and like the points of what it's trying to talk about, missed the point. So I'm not bashing on Christianity either, but I am bashing on people who don't use their own brains and don't analyze it for themselves and decide what is right and what's wrong, and not just, if I don't do A, B, and C, I'm going to burn in hell forever, and so are you, so now I'm going to point the finger in judgment on you. And also, who gives a fuck? If I decide I want to go to hell, back the fuck off. Okay, that was my little speech there.
Well, and I think too, it's kind of you to say, you know, I'm not a man hater. I'm not a white man hater. And, you know, as a white person, I will say that white guilt is real, especially in current events over the last 5 years, you know, and that definitely motivated me in some ways to protest at all of the Black Lives Matter protests that were happening, and like, you know, going out of my way to use my own voice and use my own body to stand up for people that maybe were not able to do that at the same time. Or, you know, if someone is working because they don't have the privilege to go take time off to go protest, the very least I can do is go protest in the name of them, you know? And so I do think that if you are someone in society that is naturally at an advantage, if you're white, and even more so if you're a white man, I think you have a responsibility to your country and to your community to put in a little more effort to look out for everyone else. Like if you were on a really long, intense hike and you ran out of water and someone had a water bottle, like I think that they morally should give you a sip of their water. And so it's like, if you're a white man and you know that your salary is double that woman of color right next to you, and she is struggling to get a bite to eat, get her a fucking sandwich. I think that there needs to be more distribution. And that's a very simple example, but the extreme of it is our government. And I don't know if we're allowed to get into politics on here.
Go for it.
But, you know, we just had our president build like basically Great Gatsby in the White House, where at the same time, the homeless issue of Skid Row is still not addressed. And then we're in a government shutdown where traffic control is not getting paid to make sure that our flights are safe in this country. And we don't know if we're going to be able to travel at Christmas and see our families. But thank God the White House has like a banquet and caviar and it's like he's literally doing that as a slap in the face for everyone else. It's literally petty. It's not like he probably wants the satisfaction of making that to like spit in our faces more than he even wants it made.
And that's where no, you're good. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you go ahead.
And that's where too, like we're seeing it's very clear. It's very obvious that they are doing what they can right now to destroy the middle class. And it's going to be the rich and the poor. It's just what is happening right now. And it needs to be talked about. It does. Like, you know, this is a podcast for women. It's a podcast about women. But also there's a lot happening in the world right now that's not being actively talked about, that people need to be. We have driving robot cars. 5 months ago, I think, not a thing. A year ago, definitely not a thing. I cannot walk out the street without seeing a car driving itself.
A Waymo.
But that's what's happening now. Like these things are happening and we're not talking about it as a society of where we're going. There are people talking about it, but it's the ones in charge. We need to start having these conversations and becoming aware of what's going on in the world, because it's going to affect us heavily. And as of right now, we're just playing into their game. And it's like, I'm not saying like, sound like I'm trying to start a protest or a war
No,
here,
I'm
but
here for it.
it needs to be something that we become aware of, that this is happening. The world is changing really rapidly. And us as the remaining middle class needs to be aware that we're going to be put in the poor or the rich. And we have maybe, I think, like 5 years to decide which side we're going to be on.
Well, and I would argue too that the middle class who are on the conservative side are supporting Trump in the delusional hope that they will then be elevated to be in that rich boys club. But at the end of the day, no one in the middle class is safe.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to our situation at our residency.
Exactly.
Where like the entire middle class, just like our entire band of performers, do need to unionize and find that power in numbers and not be divided amongst ourselves. In the hope of personal growth.
Well, and ultimately, should the world not be taken over by robots or anything, we should have a union for what we do. We really should. We need some kind of, and this is becoming more and more of a thing where we are starting to talk more as performers, and we do need to start talking about our rights and our rules, because we do have jobs and we do risk our lives and we're not being taken care of.
And our rates.
Anyone. And our rates.
And our rates, like what is the minimum you should be paid for aerial?
Yeah. Well, and that's a huge thing that we've encountered a lot, is that, we talk amongst ourselves when we get gigs, like how much we should be charging, because as we know, we've had this happen to both of us, where we will have a rate and someone will come in and try to offer a lower rate and take our jobs. And it can work in either way, where like, I know I was able to blacklist that girl and get my rate going up, but only because I was already in a really powerful position there. Whereas, and because I hate to say it, the owner was in love with me. If he hadn't have been, I hate to say it, but it's true.
Dead.
But that's what sucks. If he hadn't have been in love with me, I would have lost my job to a girl that I brought in as my sub, and it can go in either way. And, and that sucks. Like, I have used the fact that I am an attractive woman to get what I want. I don't want to, though. I just want it to be right and fair. But because I know it won't, sometimes I have to play the card of like, well, I know the owner's in love with me, so I'm going to quit. Honestly, that's not even why I did it. I was just going to quit because I was tired of their bullshit. But because he was in love with me, he upped my pay to make sure I would stay.
Well, I'm glad it worked out.
It worked out.
It worked out for
But
you.
there's been other situations where it doesn't work out. And somebody does take your job. We've seen that happen as well, and it's not okay. And that's why, on a much smaller level, the fact that the community is coming together is really powerful.
I feel like someone undercutting in our field is almost equivalent to the idea of these robots coming in and undercutting the middle class. You don't need to pay an Uber driver when you have a self-driving car. Yes. And I'm guilty. I called a Waymo, and it was nice not having a person driving. It was nice that it was just me and my friend with control of the music and just chilling and hanging out. And I don't know the ethics of Waymo. I don't know if they've like employed a lot of people to manage the technology. Like, I really don't know how ethical it is or not. But more and more, AI is coming in and replacing just middle-class people doing their job.
Yeah.
And then the person who creates the AI technology that can do that, they're going to get richer and richer.
Yep. They're the ones who are going to decide the direction of our country.
Yeah.
So, and that's where tying it back, doing really good at tying things back today. But tying it back to that video of me getting harassed. The thing that was so upsetting to me was when Instagram first started, if I had posted a video like that, it would have gotten 200,000 views. Now, if I post a video like that on my account, it will not do that well, because I've had to work so hard to break my shadow ban, which I finally did.
Yeah.
But I have to be so careful about what I post. And I have so many rules of what I can and I cannot post for my account to not get deleted even. My TikTok was deleted for putting a hot chili pepper in my bio. That's why it was deleted, I found out. But this guy, who is a white man, posted my video and everybody got the response back. We looked into your concern. Nothing has been done. This doesn't break our terms and conditions. His video of me gets 200,000 views. Whereas if I posted that same video on my account and the video is of me, it will not get that many views because I am a sensual woman. So all that to say, Instagram, which has become an extremely powerful, it's become a part of our society really at this point.
So it's white male dominated and it's for the white male.
Yes, it's already changed. The rules have been rewritten. And any girl who is successful on Instagram can tell you the rules changed heavily about, what was it, maybe 2 years ago. And the number one way we were able to make millions of dollars is not accessible to us anymore. It now works against us. So we have to do a lot of fucking shit to still make the money that we used to make. Because, going back again, OnlyFans is now one of the richest companies in the US, which, you know, have your ethical opinion about it or whatever, but it is the one company that has so many women millionaires coming out of it. And now it's being, you know, targeted. And so many, you know, you got to be careful about what you post on Instagram. You got to be careful about what you post on TikTok. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like, you know, free porn or whatever, but let's be real. Sex is a thing. Sex is a thing. People will get sex wherever they get it, whether it's porn, whether it's prostitutes, whether it's your relationship. Sex is a part of our culture. It's a part of humanity surviving. So, you know, chill out on all the hate and like the real issue, you know, I think I really had an issue with this video because at first, you know, it made some points that I agreed with and it was sent to me by a woman, mind you. But the thing that really bothered me, and this we talked about in the last episode too, it's not my responsibility if that man subscribes to my account. It's not my responsibility to go through my followers and be like, oh, you're in a relationship, get off of my account if you're a cheating bastard or whatever. I don't know. It's not my responsibility. That's your responsibility and your decision. Same thing goes with anything. You know, just because somebody is selling something, it's that person's responsibility to decide to buy it, you know? Yeah. And I get like cigarettes, for example, you know, it's probably good we've put a lot of bans on that because it is something toxic and that, you know, can kill you. Porn doesn't kill you. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't. I do agree, you know, you should monitor yourself and have some restrictions, but I do think
you're not going to die from watching
You're
porn.
not going to die. And if
you might go blind.
If anything, though, I think the sex industry is essential to every culture, period. Because I think it reduces violence. Because if you have these pent-up men, what do? They get violent.
But God forbid women be in charge of it.
Exactly.
God forbid women have control over it.
Exactly.
God forbid we control our own bodies and we profit off of our bodies.
Exactly.
Because it's a lot easier in society and preferable for the rulers that be for it to be also another male-dominated industry.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's scary 100%. To them. And it's scary to them when
scary.
A service like this comes out
mm-hmm.
and women suddenly can, from the comfort of their own homes,
yep.
do this completely independent of any sort of male control.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so true. And
I think men are terrified of women having power.
Exactly.
To be honest.
And that's why you see this shift in like, you know, all this social media. Don't get me wrong though. Like, obviously, like I don't want children on my account for sure. You know,
yes.
Like there are certain things that need to be put
yes.
in place. Like, I'm not saying that, there should be naked women on Instagram. That's not
That's
my
why when
argument
you're
at all.
on Netflix and you're looking at movies, it's like, oh, it's R-rated.
Exactly.
The kids are not going to watch this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why things are X-rated.
Mhm.
It's like, not all adults are going to
Yeah.
watch this.
It's a matter of like just boundaries,
Yeah.
But to completely ban and to punish something that is actually giving women the power, no, that's not okay, So I wish it wasn't, I wish it wasn't OnlyFans. I wish it was a different company, but it's probably the only one where women are just automatically given the power from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Every single other industry that is woman. That's why we had the Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach on here, because she talked about what she has to go through in that industry because it's so male dominated, and how she still has to deal with getting sexualized.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, this is a real serious thing. It's just OnlyFans is the only thing that gets so much attention because it's so controversial. But the point of it is still something that is echoed throughout every single industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What time are we at?
1:26.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that is a long, full episode.
Yeah, I feel like we've
covered a lot.
gone far. I'm
Yeah.
getting I have less to say now.
Okay.
I'm losing steam.
Great. Well,
I'm loving listening to you,
Okay.
though.
I'm on one.
No, it's great.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're also losing light because I shut the blinds and the sun is moving. So, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I personally loved this episode.
Yeah.
We'll see how it does.
I think it's nice to talk about these super huge, controversial, big topics, but like in a safe space.
Yeah.
And in an approachable way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, this is just authentically what we'd be talking about, whether or
In
not
real
there
life.
was a camera in front of us. And I hope that women can listen to this and watch this and know that they can have these conversations too.
Yeah.
Whether you
Exactly.
agree with us or not.
Yeah. This isn't a podcast that's, this is the right opinion and you need to listen to us. We could be wrong, but we're just throwing out opinions out there about serious topics that do need to be talked about. Even if you think we're wrong, maybe think about why you think we're wrong. Just question yourself a little and question the things you've been told, because if you don't, you're just sheep going to get slaughtered.
And I think one of the most powerful things in society right now that you can have as a woman is an opinion.
Yeah.
Any opinion.
Most
Just have
powerful,
one.
most dangerous.
Think for yourself.
What they're trying to shut us down on. So see you in 2 weeks for another episode. Bye. Woo!
Good job.